We know the dates for ecosystem. Does everybody have it on their calendar? Okay, let me go get them. It's like May 1st through 3rd in Jacksonville, Florida. Oh no, my computer's saying install these updates. No, leave my computer alone. Okay, there we go. So if you have not met me, I'm Kelly Green. I think I've met everybody. SciTech Institute out of Arizona. Excited that we're on this month. All right. So like I said, the STEM Learning Ecosystems spring convening is May 1st through 3rd in Jacksonville. I can drop I think the link is out, or maybe at least the hotel. But I would love for us to plan a rural meetup this time. So if anybody wants to make sure that happens, I think we could actually maybe even make it like a lunch, or make sure it's on the calendar, or the actual convening agenda. So let's see, let's check in with everybody. How are you doing? What resources would you like to share? And anything exciting planned for, hopefully you're taking some sort of day or two off in the coming 2 months. So Paul, you're first on my Brady Bunch box. Would you like to go first?
Absolutely. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. If I haven't met you on a call before, my name is Paul LaFrancois. With the Los Alamos National Laboratory Foundation in northern New Mexico. And some exciting things we've had going on recently. Our grants team just did a big convening of grantees where they came together and talked about their goals and some of their evaluation measures. And it was a real reminder of the power of bringing people together. It's one of the first in-person grants events we've had since the pandemic, and the team did a great job with it. And I think, a powerful thing there was, I think actually Explora presented, and some folks from Explora here this morning. It was really great to be a part of that and to get to see how the conversations kind of push the work forward. People start making connections across the grant areas. And then another cool thing that we have going on is one of my colleagues is working on science notebooking quite a bit. And so we've been developing a notebook analysis tool and a website that the teachers we work with can go to and just very quickly get to the different resources that go alongside it. It's based on the science and engineering practices with NGSS. And it's in a beta version right now, but I think it's something we'd be happy to share once we get it kind of up and running.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Lynette?
Let's see. We've been finishing up our second year of the Planting Seeds of STEM project. It's a grant project that involves our Native American growers, our Latinx community, and we're just trying to bring awareness to the fact that STEM is part of our local farming communities. And we're talking STEM careers with our kiddos. We've been going to or hosting summer farm camps where we take our kids out to growers market, in addition to doing all kinds of other stuff with them. Tara, are you there? Do you want to add anything to this?
I think you captured Seeds of STEM. The other thing that we're a museum. We work statewide. We have lots of different projects. One of the other projects we're working on is CAVU with a Climate Innovation Challenge. And I know I saw that come through the listserv here. So supporting teachers in sort of skill building for their students as they do that challenge. And so there's a variety of options, whether it's in person and they come visit Explora, it's virtual, we all get on our screens together. If you're creating something digital, being on the screen together actually works pretty well. Or we also are traveling to all of their classrooms. And so starting to kick that off, and we've got a few schools around the state that we're working on with that so far.
All right. I love it. So yesterday, let me see if it's the right picture. I don't know if you can see our giant green gecko. His name is Nova. And oh my goodness, I wear it because it's my personality. But we also took it to the convening, and Nova is a well-traveled gecko. So we would love to kind of come out and maybe come out and go to a classroom. That'd be fun. He's been to California and Michigan now. So, but I love going to classrooms. That was my point. Is yesterday we did a career day, and Nova talked to kindergartners about being a scientist and loving entomology, the study of bugs. So kudos to you for visiting the classrooms. Or something that the teachers just like, oh, thank God, another adult in the room. Even if it's just adult talk for 3 minutes, like they love that. So thanks for doing that. All right, John, you're on my screen next.
A lot going on. We're continuing our outreach to our tribal communities. We have a STEM night with the Shoshone-Bannock tribe next week. And then 2 weeks after that, we're heading up to the Nez Perce Reservation for a STEM night there. We have our LTI coming up, and Kelly, you might be joining us, I understand.
Yes, I'll be in Idaho Falls.
Yay. So that's coming up at Shoban Junior Senior High. We were able to get additional funding for our STEM scholarships. We offer 10 STEM scholarships to high school seniors. And so those are now $3,000 each, and we're hoping to eventually get those up to $5,000. And then our Rural Collaborative has a conference at Boise State University on the 15th of this month, where we'll be bringing we'll bring partners from around the state to discuss rural ag and STEM. So we have a lot going on.
That's exciting. Yeah, and you have different groups meeting all over the state. So if any of you do not have CSOs and you want to know more, it's growing very nicely, and it's just a great way for students to get connected with other students who like STEM, not only in their state, but across the US and across the globe. All right. So kudos, John. You're busier than ever. Dale, what about you?
Hey, everybody. So we have an IMLS leadership grant to work across the state of Tennessee to work with rural communities. And so we're pretty early in that. We have our first year, we identified 3 counties. We've 2 schools each. And by the way, this is a partnership across the state with 5 other museums. So there's 6 of us. We are the Science Alliance of Tennessee. So we're really working together strategically, both to do some cross-institutional asset mapping as well as asset mapping within these counties. So we've done meetings with teachers at the 3 counties, and we've now developed some potential strategies and resources that we want to pilot and co-create with them. And we are in the stage now where we're trying to do that. And again, it's trying to find the balance of what resources do we want to generate that will have the Science Alliance brand as opposed to individual museum brands, and what resources that each of us bring to the table do we want to keep as branded resources. So it's great. It's fun. It's a great team. Our hardest part right now is just figuring out how to get teachers to respond to things, because it's just really hard. And we're trying to set up a Zoom or 2 or 3 as needed to share some of the things with the teachers across the counties, which are all over the state, to try to say, what do you want? What does this look like? How do we actually get feedback? So we are now waiting for responses, and it's just really slow. So any advice people on this call have about getting people to respond would be appreciated. I know teachers don't spend a lot of time probably wanting to be on their emails, but on the other hand, how do we get to them otherwise? So, but we're excited about the resources. We're thinking about everything from activities that can be sent home to connect home and school. And our project actually is about connecting home, school, and community. So how do we do that? Well, and also trying to think about some innovative virtual approaches to giving access to our various institutions in an immersive kind of way. So we're busy, but we want to be busier. So hopefully they'll respond soon.
That's a great question just to this group too, to think about. You know, no matter where they are, I think teachers have just said, stop talking to me. And I realize that the good part is that they finally found their voice and say, no, it's not my job to do all of those things as a teacher, but it also is really impacting the opportunity for outreach. So maybe we all reach out to a few teachers that are responding and, you know, kind of get them to network and be your advocates, especially in a certain school, right? Don't have it come from the principal, have it come from a teacher in the group that's like kind of advocating for you. But in person's always better in my opinion. So if you can get out there, but I think it's happening all over, Dale. So it's not you, it's not the science museums. How cool that you guys have an alliance though. That's really exciting.
Very cool. You know, it's been a group that's historically done some fundraising, but we're really trying to use this as a way to develop an educational arm of this alliance. So I think, you know, we'll see. Hopefully it'll work well.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing more. All right, Sep, I know you got to run over to Wilcox High School or middle school. Quick update.
Hey there, Kelly. Good to see everybody. I love having this happen first thing in the morning. Wilcox was yesterday, amazing science fair. Big shout out to Rebecca Basme, the middle school science kind of lead. She's been putting these on for the last 3 or 4 years. Great turnout from the community for science fair judges and amazing projects from the middle school students. I was judging 5th and 6th graders and consistently thought I was judging 9th and 10th graders. And she includes direct interviews with those students as part of the judging. And that was just really a great experience to be able to talk to those kids and just give them major, you know, kudos and shout outs for the work. But Rebecca is just, I mean, she is rocking Wilcox in all things STEM. Later this week or next week, we've got a little collaboration happening between Wilcox and an organization in Arizona called ABEC, and we'll be bringing Sphero balls to that school for them to use. Rebecca also leads a coding program in class, and they were kind of heading into a little bit of a dead end, not being able to apply the coding skills. And with the Sphero balls, they'll actually be able to see those coding skills applied and in action. And she and her other science teachers are really excited about that. I also just put in there really cool STEM ecosystem collaborations bubbling up here with SciTech, with SARCEF out of Tucson, and now with my new work with Center for the Future of Arizona, really having an opportunity to weave in CTE, career and technical education. I get to work very closely with the Cochise Technology District, which is the high school kind of JTED program that brings CTE to all of the high schools in Cochise County. And I'm just loving this connection between workforce development, economic development, STEM, and students and communities. So it's just exciting to see, and I'm glad to be connected to it and part of it. I was actually just on a really fascinating, interesting call with another SciTech group yesterday that is specifically working on workforce development and STEM, and I didn't even know it existed, and I got an email, and it was great. So those are a few things happening, and really good to see everybody. And I'm actually running now over to Benson Unified School District for a training on a program called Counseling in the Streets, which provides social emotional learning support for teachers and students and administrators. And I think that's important in terms of that last bit of discussion. Like, folks are definitely, you know, still struggling through the ripple effects of the pandemic, and finding a way to support that, I think, is critical.
And as you all know, in rural, by running, he means like at least a 20-minute drive, maybe more, right? So thanks, Sep.
Thank you, guys.
Thea, I think you're next on my screen, or maybe you jumped around. I think you shared earlier, but do you have anything else?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, I haven't shared yet. My name's Taya.
Oh, that's right. It's Tara that did.
No problem. So this is my first time at one of these meetings, and I just have to say this is so cool to be hearing about all of the amazing things that are going on. It's just very, very exciting, and like Steph said, a great way to start the day. So I'm with the Bisbee Science Lab down in Bisbee, Arizona, and I am a relatively new member of the team. We are now a full-time team of 2, so we're growing slowly but surely. And there's a lot of really exciting things going on. We recently got funding from A4 Arizona to do the design of what we're calling a regenerative learning ecosystem. So we're doing this in partnership with the Bisbee Unified School District. We're located at a decommissioned middle school with 8 unused acres that used to be a playground and now is just kind of there. And so we're working with them to redesign that for an environmental education space. And we're really excited about that. So we got the funds to move forward on the designs, and we'll be sending out requests for qualifications very soon. So that's very exciting. We also have our mobile lab that's been all over Cochise County so far. This semester, we're doing an entomology exhibit, so maybe the gecko could come check out one of our labs. And so far this year, we've seen, a little over 4,000 students so far in Cochise County, all in Title I schools and rural schools. And so that has also been growing and doing really, really well. And then we also, at the lab itself, have a new part-time Science Friday coordinator to help with the kiddos that don't have schools on Fridays. And so we're steadily growing, and we're really excited about the programs going on. And I just have to say again, it's so cool to hear all of the amazing things that are going on around me as well.
Yeah, and from one side of Arizona to the other, right? Sharing those experiences, but then also Albuquerque's right, or not too far, and making these friends. It's really neat. So maybe you'll be able to go with us to the ecosystem event. Sep loved it, so we'll talk about that.
Yes, we will discuss. I would love to go.
Okay, Beth.
Hey, good morning. It's a little later here in North Dakota, but it's warm. It's been in the 70s here, so it's not always hot, or it's not always a cold place. Come on up and see us. Really exciting stuff going on the ecosystem side. We're got our grants out, so we don't produce programming, but we facilitate. So we support a lot of regionals programs for students through our grants. And we've got that grant program going and have some really exciting programs that are going to be happening around the state because of the grants that we offer. And we're gearing up for STEM Day at the Capitol. Our legislature meets every other year. So starting in January until early May, they get they get a little bit of time, but it's usually too much for some of us and not enough for others. Anyway, on February 9th, we're going to have STEM Day at the Capitol, where we'll invite groups from around the state that we have supported through grants and others to showcase for these legislators what they're doing in STEM, and we'll provide some stipends for them as well. And then we're also, from the Science Center perspective, which is the other hat that I wear, the paying hat, that's my real job. We're getting ready to open our new facility at the early part of 2023, and gearing up for that. I've hired new people. We've got staff coming in, but October was one of our busiest months. We were in at least 20 places across the state with our outreach program, served over 3,000 students, and we're a NASA community anchor. We were in the inaugural cohort of that program. It's a Team 2 grant, one of the smaller grants, but because of that, we went to a tribal community and we were able to turn what would have been a single night event into a 6-week exploration that culminated with a NASA person from Goddard. He was the DEIA lead coming in. Actually, he came all the way into Newtown, North Dakota, and visited in person with these students. It was incredible to see the connection that he made. His name is Edward Gonzalez, if you ever get a chance. Basically, we found him on a flyer that is Native Americans of NASA. And what happened is we started with the community action team from that community saying, what would you like? We could bring in, I hate these helicopter programs, and this happens so often in rural, where you know, we know all the answers. We've got all this cool stuff. Let us show you what we can do for you. And we bring it in and we drop it and then we leave. And we're switching the way that we do our programs. We've been doing this for quite a while, where we go to the community and say, we've got resources, obviously, but you have assets yourselves. Tell us what you do. Tell us how we can enhance that. Let's work together. And this community action team saw this poster that was actually produced by our Space Grant Consortium. If you guys aren't part of your Space Grant Consortiums, find them, get involved. But this flyer, and they said, it would be so cool if someone who looks like our students would visit with them. And they were thinking it would be virtual. So we just cold called someone. Our programs person just cold called, and he was like, yeah, I'll come. It's like, you'll come? You'll actually come here? And then when I learned that they were coming, I said, make this bigger. This is not a one-off. We need him to speak in Bismarck. We need him to visit other places. And so he ended up visiting all over. We're on a first name basis. His name's Eddie now. He's a friend. It's so cool to be able to create those connections. And then from that, more NASA people want to connect with this school in rural North Dakota. So it's just so cool to be able to make those connections. That's the thing I love about the work that we do, is being able to make those connections. So this connections, Taya, you mentioned the connection among us, and that's what we get to do across our states too. And that's what warms my heart. Anyway, there you go.
If anybody needed that feel good moment, like all people put their pants on most of the time the same way, but we forget that sometimes, that maybe they came from a rural location. Some of you were at Ecosystem and you met Louis Lopez, who was the keynote. He was in Arizona for a conference, and he came and he spoke at a student's school yesterday because she asked him to. And she had met, one of our CSOs had met him in Michigan at the conference, and like, holy cow, what a cool.
Yeah, just ask. You know, a lot of times we think, oh, they'll never do that.
Right.
Just the worst thing they're going to say is no. And we've heard that before. We haven't died from it. So ask.
Quite a bit, actually. Also wanted to say I really like that title, Community Resource Committee. Might steal that. Don't know if it's branded. Awesome.
Take it. Take it.
If anybody has direct link on their name box, just know that I probably have I can't remember what your names are. So that's really helpful for a person like me, that I know all your faces, most of you. But all right, Sue, I see you're on my call. On our call. Got very possessive there. She might not be able to unmute. I have one direct link. I see you smiling. Let's see, what is her name? Anybody? She's next to Beth on my box. Anybody else want to share? How about that? Oh, Linda's down there too, Southeast.
Sorry about that. I'm with Southeast Kentucky, the STEM ecosystem, and also with Berea College Partners for Education. And there's lots of change and movement going on. The ecosystem is still growing. We are a regional ecosystem, but we may become, I think we're becoming an ecosphere, because I have 3 separate communities that have asked for individual ecosystems that I'm working with, and 2 more that just called me. So I'm starting to get a little overwhelmed because it's just me. So it's a lot of work, but we're excited about that they are hearing about the work that we do and how they can, and they want to do that at a local level. And I see great potential with that. Yesterday, I was at a meeting in Middlesboro, Kentucky, very rural, and I was overcome with joy when I saw that more than half of the room was government, nonprofit, and business and industry. K-12 did not dominate the room, and that's unusual in rural, right? It's unusual to get that. The Main Street person was there to talk about how they see STEM impacting their world. There was a young man there who owns a green construction company, and his concern was about diversity, because in that particular community, there is a little bit more of a, for Kentucky, a little bit more of a diverse population. I think we have about 20% of students of color in that school. So that's pretty good for Eastern Kentucky, where 99.4% of our population is white. So engaging having those conversations, recognizing the need to engage and to maybe make some changes themselves in order to help do that, and to agree, and they all agreed, and that's what was amazing, to continue the work. And so I was very pleased with that. That made my day as an ecosystem director. And then coming back at Berea College, we are a Partners for Education has been in existence for about 20 years, and we keep growing and growing and growing. And the college recently recognized that maybe they were holding us back from being able to do what we really could do, because our vision was growing beyond what the college could handle. And so we have created our own nonprofit, and we are separating from the college, and that is fun and messy all at the same time, but exciting, because it does give us opportunities to partner with organizations in different ways. So Alltech recently reached out to us, and they are headquartered in Nicholasville, Kentucky. They do organic animal food, and so they are international. And they obviously the horse industry is huge here, and so that was part of where it started. But they do animal feed of all kinds, and so they wanted to partner with us and talk to our students about ag science and the importance of agri-tech coming into the community, and have agreed to step down, not just doing college, because that's where their focus has been, but to recognize that middle and high school students and even elementary school students need to be engaged in STEM in order to fulfill all of the career jobs that they have. So I saw real progress with that, and that was exciting to see. We do only cover one small portion of Kentucky, and Kentucky does not have a STEM ecosystem, though I push every single day. We will get there. We will have a state ecosystem before long. And it's one of those things that I see continuing. The conversations are happening all over the state, but they're happening in pockets. There's just no one place pulling that information together. And I'm on the board of the Kentucky Science Center, so I'm in his ear all the time about this is the perfect opportunity for you to step in. So hopefully they will listen, and he has agreed to at least send someone with me next time when we come to the ecosystem convening. So there you go. That's where we are with all of that.
Well, goodness, sounds like you're just as busy as John over there, maybe even more, because he at least has a couple of people. Kudos to you for all the extra effort. Expanding is big and exciting, but really messy. So I understand that.
And Kelly, I am going to reach out to you. I tried to reach out to you earlier, and I think something happened and it didn't go through, but I am going to reach out to you about the chief science officer, officers with C, because I suspect we have some grants that are really ready to step into that world. So
fantastic. My favorite part of my job. All right, Barb, what about you?
Hi, everybody. So I'm Barb Termott. I'm up in Northwest Lower Michigan. And I've been on the call a couple times, a few times before. So it's really wonderful to hear all the new updates and everything with happening. So I think, well, one thing that came out of the last meeting is that I ended up having a meeting with Jean Gogalski from Ohio. She was really interested in the career investigator that I mentioned about getting more ag careers, and she's doing some work in Michigan. We haven't reconnected again yet after the great opening conversation because there was some dates I think she's trying to finalize that we might participate in. So that's really exciting because we have 6 areas that we've covered for our rural-based career investigator. And one of them we call water, land, and air, because to try to, make group careers. So that's a really important part that we wanted to build out. And the other area that we just met this week on, which is really exciting, is to have green collar career paths and how we do that. How do we even frame that? There's a huge interest among kids, but how do you translate that into pathways? And of course, almost any career you could be green, right? Like my husband works for a company that builds electric motorcycles, so it's like, okay, he's an IT/production guy, and he's super excited to be working for a green company. So if anybody who has any ideas about some sites, or that you have mapped out anything on the green careers, would be super exciting to share how we communicate this and give them something concrete next steps to do. And on that note, on the career investigator, we have now on Monday got a signed MOU with our, what we call Michigan Works, is an organization that has regional entities all over Michigan. That's a workforce development agency, and they have dropped the tool they were using and have adopted the career investigator. They made it like the major drop down on one of their websites. So we were like, they didn't even ask us. They just like, boom, put it out there. So it was really cool. So they're going to use it with all of their teens and adult programs. So it's part of our staying small team and layering into people who are working with our target audiences. You had mentioned about doing a demo of it sometime, but maybe we could just set up a meeting. I could share that. I could also put the URL in the chat. We also this week delivered 2 more STEAM stations yesterday. These are, because we do not have an office or a site or a location, which I love that many of you have, we don't have. So we had this idea of putting STEAM stations in places in the community where kids and families are, to help introduce more STEM. And to, so on the cart, we work with that particular entity on what would work for them. So we have it at a science center, where we're focusing on there is a STEM kit swap. So like maybe your kid has outgrown or no longer using one and traded in for a different one. And these are, toys, games, puzzles, whatever that they can do. So they're new, so we haven't really heard stories yet about the swap, but that's what we're trying to encourage. We also have a monthly theme, like somebody else mentioned, the monthly theme on take home little tiny bags with some activity to do that's STEM related every month, that's kind of themed. The ones we delivered yesterday were to the Salvation Army Center in Traverse City, which is our big town of 20,000 people. And we also dropped it off in the lobby of our Children's Museum. And next week, we're hoping to go to this other, like a family center in a very rural part on the east side of our 5-county area, where we've also done a lot with the women's resource centers there. So that will put us up to 4 of these STEAM stations. And the other thing I mentioned last time about the STEAM Maker Alliance Passport. So this is an alliance of what we call STEAM makers across our 5-county region. They range from nature centers to activity centers, STEM station centers, STEM centers, blah. And others like us who don't have a physical location, and we plan out events during the year together. We also started doing this fall pop-ups. So in order, we have these major events, which tend to be centrally located, make our Maker Fest every spring. But a lot of kids are so far away from there that they don't come for that time. So the pop-ups would be located at some of our STEM Alliance members who have a physical location, and any of us are welcome to join in on it. And come and have a table. And so there's a variety of activities that kids can do at that time. So that's kind of the big thing and we're decided to re-up and do our passport again. I don't know if any of you have done passports, but we're like totally running out of them all the time, but none of them come back because they're like eligible for a prize if they get 5 stamps for going to 5 activities or 5 places. And they're so excited to take them and interested, kind of serves as a map of our region about what's available. So we figure, that's a great promotional sort of thing, but they get eligible for prizes. We all have pitched in on what we would offer as a prize, and nobody has turned them in. So I don't know if you guys, they can turn it into any one of the centers. at these events, they can see multiple at a time. So I don't know if anybody has any feedback on that as well. Those were, I guess the last thing is today, student pitch competition. So we're a very entrepreneurial area. And so there now is, for the second year, is going to be Northwest Michigan Startup Week, they call it. And I was on the whole planning team last year, and we co-hosted a space night and a student pitch competition. This year, I'm just going to be the person that's the point for the student pitch competition. But it's a year-round activity, so we give them some lessons that they could use to get the entrepreneurial skills, ending with how do you pitch your ideas. So it's all about from ideation, all the way through to making a prototype, and then pitching what you're doing to a community audience that includes adults, but also includes a lot of entrepreneurs on a big stage at our Opera House. So trying to get the new teams on, there's been a lot of change in personnel. So we're kind of onboarding on that part right now. But also the theme is blue water. So it's kind of like those subset of the eco careers is, since we are, largest freshwater system in the world right here in the Great Lakes, we're starting a center for technology in our region. And so how do we encourage kids to have interest, who are interested in eco or freshwater careers, to learn more about it? But this is an opportunity for them to pitch about it. They can choose that theme, or I'm leaving it open just because sometimes schools dictate what they need to work on. But super excited to do that again. We had about 80 students involved last year across the programs, and they each elected their top team to come on the stage for the community. I'll stop there, sorry.
There's nothing wrong with sharing. You're passionate. I love it. A lot's happening in, Michigan. I know are you part of the MI STEM network? No? Oh, you're muted.
We've been around since 2010, so we predated the MySTEM network. So we're more about, coordinating and partnering. We work together on some of the regional events and that kind of thing. So, it's to be honest, it's a little bit confusing because it says the whole state, but we don't get nothing comes to us as a rural community, just a newsletter. Just a newsletter that says things that are happening around the state. That's all I get out.
I mean, that's good to know, right? Because again, so thinking of all of our thoughts of like, what are we saying to the public? What are they receiving?
Right.
The whole idea of you could win a prize, but do they want to win that prize? I don't know. So that's good to know, and all of us to kind of think through too of like, did you know what's happening, or do they even know how cool you are, right? And I think that's kind of what I was getting at, is you have a ton of ways to integrate to your ecosystem that, is happening often. They're having these regional meetings. So it's definitely something that you can be part of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I did attend that regional meeting that came right after and made some suggestions on like joint terminology and how we share things so that it's a similar message repeated no matter where you are and who's presenting. They like the idea. I haven't heard anything back out of it yet, but yeah. So, and thank you, Beth, for the idea on the passport. That's a fabulous idea.
Oh yeah, the tear off coupon. We used to make them rip off the front page. Some of them didn't like that though. Some of them wanted to keep it as I don't know, it's paper, but anyway. I think Dale was the only last presenter, but I see Jeremy has his hand up. If you guys don't know, this is my boss, so hopefully it's a nice comment.
Wow, she thinks I'm not going to say something nice. No, Kelly's an awesome facilitator, so we're happy that she's able to do this. A couple things I just wanted to ask about or bring up. One thing real quickly I put in the chat, but we've done science festivals for quite a while, and they've been a great way to connect and raise visibility of the community, and they work both in rural and urban areas. And so that may be something to consider if you're starting to kind of put things throughout the community. It can be a way to possibly piece it together. And we can, if you're thinking of one, we can at least provide insights of what we've learned with festivals. One thing that we've put together with the STEM ecosystems through the LC2 is this idea of doing a pitch event. So often a lot of us might want to be part of National Science Foundation grants, and this was actually inspired by Kelly, that we were putting a lot of time and effort into writing NSF grants. In reality, we're not experts at writing NSF grants, we're okay at it. But the people who are from these research groups basically live and die by having these grants. And so what the challenge I've found is that they get the grants, then after the fact, they come to us and say, hey, you want to be part of it? And so we thought of this idea of starting to flip it, where they come to us, they pitch the idea, and then we can potentially get involved with these conversations early on. And so we've been sending it out via leadership groups throughout the, through the STEM ecosystem. So some of you might have gotten the invites, but if not, we wanted to invite you to come to this pitch session. Unfortunately, it's next Monday. So if you don't have something committed or have team members, we'd love to have you there. We got 7 different groups that are going to be pitching different ideas around the ASIL grant. And so I can put the link in the chat, and also send a message that hopefully we can get out through the Rural Ecosphere group. Awesome that Idaho will be there. We don't know if this will work, but it's kind of the first idea. And then finally, I just had a question to the group, is that does anybody work with 4-H and have any opinion about it being synergistic with chief science officers?
Not all of our rural teams have.
I know,
chief
like, so it's kind of,
officers.
it's limiting it down. So people are familiar with both. Just kind of curious about your synergy of how it might work together.
All right, if you want to drop that in the chat, and then I think Dale was my last team member who hadn't had a chance to share, maybe.
I shared because about Tennessee across the state,
Oh,
but I
yes,
did add
yes,
a question. I added a question in here about what does it mean to be one of the official STEM ecosystems now, because we had applied years ago and didn't get in, and then we really just have done our own thing since. And I sort of landed on this call a year and a half ago or so when we were writing this original rural grant, sort of by accident. I don't know if everybody on here otherwise is already part of an official ecosystem. I think not, but so I'm just wondering, like, so you're talking about these dates coming
Related.
up and all that. What was that?
The ecosystem idea, right, is that we're all connected because we're connected, and that's kind of the idea of a rural ecosphere. But I didn't limit the participation, so I'm happy that it's not just ecosystem collaborators. So and the idea is that you could be, right, like if you didn't want to be part of yours, you could be part of mine.
Yeah.
I'll take everybody. Friends from everywhere. I love it.
Friends from everywhere. No, I just went, you talk about the convening in May and you talk about these other things, and it's just occurred to me that I don't actually I don't have funding to attend that. I'm not, and I don't know if there is still funding or if there is any funding for the ecosystems that are part of the STEM Next or whatever. So, but I mean, I follow it. I'm just trying to get I had an understanding of it maybe a little bit some years ago, but now it seems just like
And it's
this
changed,
this
right?
thing.
Yeah,
Right.
so don't even sweat it because everybody's a little bit different. And I think being part of this call gives you the opportunity of like, hey, I'd like to go, and maybe we bring you as our guest, because everybody has the ability to bring a guest, or you can attend as a non-member. So really kind of thinking through, it's a great place for all of us to get together and share what's happening. That's my take on it. I don't know how everybody else feels, but avoiding that exclusive nature, because I mean, we're rural. We need all the friends we can get. So that's just my opinion. But all right, well, I'm so proud of us. We stayed our full time this time. If anybody
Kelly?
have a chance to share. Oh yes, Sue, go ahead.
It only took me this whole stinking phone call to figure out how to get my speaker back on. Just really quick, the only thing that's happened, I'm calling from I'm in Maryland, but I'm part of the North Carolina ecosystem. They just launched a big effort to try to support the engagement and development of teachers of color in STEM. That's kind of a big initiative right now. But what I wanted to mention is I was watching an interview. If you all saw the original Black Panther movie, there was a character that the younger sister character that really promoted STEM. And I watched an interview with her this morning, and she said that was an unintended consequence of that movie, was how it engaged youth of color in STEM. So in the new movie, which comes out this weekend, they have added an additional character, and they are really beefing up the STEM. She did not provide the resources, but she said that there were going to be resources that would help teachers incorporate some of this STEM stuff that they do in the movie that helps rural Africa or whatever move forward. So it's just something to look forward, because I know the kids will be seeing these movies and going crazy with it. So that's just what I wanted to share.
That brings me to a great point. Have you ever done movie nights where you showcase the STEM? We were invited to a few movie premieres, and they wanted our feedback as a science or STEM organization about the female role that was a computer science engineer. It was a scary movie. It was called Underwater. But I took students too, and we talked about how that kind of same idea, Sue, is that the young girl, some of you might know Chalet, she walked away saying, that was really good for young women in STEM. I was like, wow. So I even think, I know the Bisbee, was it Bisbee Science Lab, you guys? Oh, and Wilcox Theater had like science movie nights and talked about, I know we brought spare parts, or Wilcox brought spare parts down. The teacher anyway, I'm rambling. But if you want a community engagement night, show a movie for free, sell popcorn, and then talk about the STEM behind it, or get a keynote that is like the real job, or somebody that does that activity or represents the company in the movie. People love that. It's easy.
And we have a theater here in Wilmington that every time a new movie comes out that's got high, K-12 attraction, they do a sensory day. So like kids with autism and Asperger's and other neurological challenges get to go. And they've done STEM activities and stuff that when they have those events. So that's another way to actually reach that community, which is sometimes marginalized this way. So anyway.
I love it. All right. I know a lot of people have to jump. We kept you so long this time. I love it. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Weekend is coming. Please take some time for yourself, and I'll see you soon. Send in a follow-up.